Sitting on my back porch drinking a probiotic drink. This is not alcohol. I don't know why I felt the need to clarify. So I've been waxing philosophical lately. It's something that's on my mind as I've begun to consume fitness content in a more conscientious way as I've started making my own videos, as I've been thinking about the idea of masculinity as it pertains to the fitness industry. I think it's a very dangerous precedent that has been set with the current media landscape for particularly young men who are targeted by a lot of these predatory marketing strategies. They can actually just be distorted and used as a guise to perpetuate a lot of misogynistic and regressive ideas. When I started training, I was 16 years old. I was in an awkward teen body stage, and besides health and fitness, the original reason I went into the gym is that I was fearful and I did not have, I feel, strong directions in my life about what kind of person to be. And this was an outlet for that I felt was constructive. And I don't want to denigrate anybody who goes to the gym and does find productive self-growth as a result, because I was definitely in that boat too. And that's where we sort of get into this bit of irony of exercise, which can be really a positive self-esteem building act, has been captured by private capitalist interests in order to sell you a bunch of bullshit. The modern idea of masculinity is not a value system. It's a lack of values. It's a series of appealing images that have been carefully crafted by marketing and advertising firms for the last 50, 60 years in order to sell you shaving cream, in order to sell you boner pills, and to make you feel insecure and that you need to consume in order to be somehow a fully formed, functioning man. And I think that's ridiculous. But the thing is, it's become so firmly entrenched in our culture that it's hard to separate a lot of these ideas. And I think we're seeing the worst outcomes of that in the past few years. There's been the rise of, I'll just call it, the Joe Rogans, the Andrew Tates of the world. Charismatic figures who don't care about your well-being, and only really care about making money at your expense, and who young men look up to as role models, not knowing that they're being led astray by somebody who just wants to make money. I watched recently a bit of, I believe it was Natural Hypertrophy's video, where he was talking about the pipeline of fitness to fascism, and that a lot of these really far-right ideas have become ingrained into the darker side of gym and fitness cultures. And I think unfortunately that's true. And I think it all ties into these strange ideas of masculinity, and that fitness can become a beacon for young disaffected men without guidance, and people who are willing to make a buck at the expense of somebody's well-being have no problems steering people astray, impressionable young people who trust them, admire them, and think that this is the kind of person you should be, because they really don't care about the consequences. And I think it's important, if you are a young man, your teens, early 20s. You need to understand that you're at an impressionable age, and that these people that you look up to, that you want to be like, that you want to look like, act like, you want to have some fraction of the respect or the status or the wealth or the power of these people. You need to understand that they don't care about you. You mean nothing to them other than as a way to meet their bottom line. And that's a hard reality to face, because when you pull away that veil, you have to accept a lot of hard truths. And one of the truths is that in our current society, there's really not a lot of guidelines for how to be a good person, how to be a functional, stable, effective person. That means that there's not easy answers. And so fitness can be something to build self-esteem, but there has to be steps beyond that, beyond the initial confidence you get and that you feel from getting stronger, doing something constructive for yourself. These are all good things. But at a certain point, the internal work has to take over. And I think that's where a lot of people fail to step up, is that they're not willing to take those deeper steps that it takes to become a fully actualized person. And at a certain point, you can't have someone else tell you what it means to be you. And you can't put yourself into this box that confines your identity, because you're never going to fully realize the person that you are. The thing I've seen recently that really bothers me, I find it really despicable, is the rise of, I don't know what to call them, TikTok steroid shills. So there are people out there who are spreading false messages that these new experimental PEDs like SARMs that are coming out are somehow safe and have no harm profile, that they are incredibly potent, absolutely necessary to take to get stronger, and that they somehow magically have no side effects. And as somebody who's currently studying biopharma, the first thing they teach you is that the stronger something is, the more side effects it potentially has. The fitness has a short half-life, the industry. It primarily markets to a very young audience that changes over every few years. And so a lot of these people might not realize how many people have gotten hurt and how many influencers have died from these compounds. Do you know you're in my shop, kitty cat? Whether it be anabolic steroids, SARMs, growth hormones, peptides, amphetamines, diuretics, or, God knows what else some of these people are taking, there's a cost in human life. And so if you really want to talk about somebody who doesn't care whether you literally live or die, there are people who are so willing to make a quick buck off of you that they don't care if you are harmed permanently, if you're killed by some of the things that they're saying, if it destroys your life, destroys your health, shortens your lifespan, damages your relationships. So the next time you see somebody talking to you at a camera with a lot of confidence, great lighting, and clearly a marketing team behind them, I want you to ask yourself what they're selling. And more importantly, I want you to ask yourself if what they're demanding that you pay is worth the cost. Because there's always a cost.